Hello, this video goes out to the people in the kitchens and on the tills working grueling shifts in food service, particularly in the fast food industry. I have worked food service before, and I say with 100% confidence that food service is a very demeaning and dehumanizing line of work to be in, especially if you're not getting paid well, not getting treated well, and are stuck condemned to live a life as a fast food worker. In my opinion, working in fast food is comparable to black slaves working in the cotton fields of the 19th century southern United States, or even in the labor camps of World War II era Germany, or working as a serf in monarchist France or pre-Soviet Russia. In October of last year, after months of being unemployed and without money, and seeing no real opportunities for good employment, I turned to fast food so I could help support my family. I worked at a fast food chain known as Brahms. Luckily, it's only local to the southern Midwest, so there aren't too many people that witnessed the horrors that happened behind the counter. Every day there took more and more out of me. I was always exhausted at the end of every shift, and I would be lucky to leave without being burned at least once. The workers there, bless their hearts, college students, made losing sensation in your hands from the constantly getting burned a goal for new workers. The micromanagement would not stop. By the end of my first week there, I knew it was going to be a job that I wouldn't like. By the end of my second week, I knew I had to be out of there soon. By the end of my third week, I had reached my breaking point. I went in still exhausted from the previous night's shift, irritable and not one bit prepared for the extremely busy day ahead of me, during which I worked mostly alone, being drowned in orders, a constant need to cook and replenish stock, as well as cleaning tasks that I was never going to get around to. Mind you, they scheduled all of their night kitchen staff just a couple days prior, and it was dead past 7, whereas the store would close at 10:45, was still over 3.5 hours before close. But about an hour and a half into what would be my last shift, I had an anxiety attack and smashed up 5 burgers, and was dismissed and fired the next day. Real cardinal sin, I know. They ridiculed me when I told them that I have anxiety, which I do, but they compared me having an anxiety attack to a 10-year-old throwing a temper tantrum. Yeah, shows you how much respect fast food managers and corporate associates have for their workers. Today, I hold being a cook at Brahms, or having any job at Brahms at all, as being worse than my first real job as a deli worker. And that job sucked enough on its own. But I'm going to dive back into the nightmare world of fast food and see what people are dealing with. I'm going to look into the plight of people that are working at McDonald's, and we're going to see if we can uncover the dark side of Ronald McDonald himself, fast food icon or disciple of JWG. Let me just say that ever since getting fired from Brahms, I have started to think of fast food as being an obsolete industry. I personally think that we should either automate that line of work first and liberate millions of people from these dead-end and truly awful jobs, or kill fast food altogether. In particular, the McDonald's workforce is 200,000 strong. Most fast food is either artificial food or expired food or both, and it's the reason that people who eat fast food regularly often get sick with diarrhea or puking and are extremely unhealthy. McDonald's has spearheaded an egregious campaign to secure the Mc trademark, filing lawsuits against any business that uses Mc or Mac anywhere in its name. McDonald's is known to underpay its employees. Many McDonald's employees and fast food employees in general are not paid anywhere near enough to sustain a living. Fast food being a basic job or an after-school job does not excuse McDonald's, or anyone else for that matter, from underpaying their employees. I've worked in the kitchens of a fast food establishment, and I know how difficult the job can be. Not just mentally, but physically. Anyone that calls fast food a basic job likely has never worked in fast food. Of all things, fast food should not be a job for teenagers. In fact, teenager jobs shouldn't even exist. So long as there is one adult out of a job that is able-bodied and not retired, no one under the age of 18 should be in the workforce. In Peru, 2 teenagers died while doing cleaning chores while working at McDonald's. They were working outside of contract hours and died when a vending machine in poor condition produced an electric current over the wet floors where they had mopped, causing them to be electrocuted. The workers had reported the poor condition of the vending machine, but of course the company did nothing. The managers at that McDonald's failed to properly train their workers in health and safety. But let's look at the Reddit community, McDonald's employees. One of the first thing I'm greeted with is this masterpiece. 2 pieces of paper used as signs, I assume on the freezer door, reminding workers to close the freezer door. I'm guessing one of the workers is having a hard time remembering to close the freezer door when they're done in there. Why the need for 2 signs though, I don't know. I think a bigger sign with bigger print would suffice just fine. Even worse is that they've used a bunch of use first stickers to hold the signs up, instead of, you know, tape. It's not like McDonald's is a struggling business. McDonald's restaurants apparently have basements where they store their product at the end of the night, though I could be wrong. They probably just had the basement door open and someone bumped into the cart with something and it just tumbled down. But let's assume they store product in the basements at the end of the night, because would you really be surprised if they weren't? This happened just as they were about to leave. My first question and one that I hope is obvious, is do they not fucking have ramps? That's seriously dangerous as hell. What if someone was to be pulling that instead of pushing it down the stairs? Not only that, but how does one have the strength to hold that thing steady as you push it down? I don't even know if I could do that. Maybe if I was pushing it I could, but then I would have to contend with trays of products sliding off and hitting me. This task is made harder than it needs to be. There's no way that this isn't an OSHA violation. This next one is a text post where an employee of McDonald's claims that they were refused water. It reads, "Is it illegal for my GM to refuse to let me drink water, not even on the floor during our lunch rush, 12 to 1 p.m. She told me other stores refuse to let employees drink water during 12 to 3 p.m. The one good thing Brahms did was not bar me from buying a drink during work time, which I only started doing shortly before I was fired. Even if it's true that other McDonald's establishments bar their employees from getting drinks, that doesn't suddenly make barring employees from getting something to drink a good thing. Do not allow your manager or anyone else try to punish you for getting something to drink. If they do, quit or start organizing and get a union involved. Don't let them normalize punishing you, the worker, for being thirsty. It doesn't matter if it's just for an hour. If you haven't had something to drink since, let's say, 9 a.m. when you clocked in, and you just so happen to get thirsty in that 12 to 1 or 12 to 3 time window, you shouldn't be punished for getting something to drink. Any company that forces workers to dehydrate themselves in the name of profit is not a company worth working for. As for whether or not it's illegal for your manager to punish you for having something to drink, it probably isn't, but still, dehydrating yourself for a company should not be normal. This next post is about disciplinary action for sick days. It reads, "So about an hour ago, I was overcome with a horrific wave of nausea and vomited several times, and I've got work tomorrow. I work for McDonald's in the UK, and I have been off due to sickness/injury about 3 or 4 times over the course of basically a year, I think, and for that, I received a verbal warning and a written warning. My manager told me at my last back to work that if I was sick again, I should come in and tell the manager, and they would decide whether to keep me on for that shift. But in the UK, if you've been sick, you shouldn't go in. I really don't want a third warning, but on the other hand, I'm in no state to go in, so what should I do? Also, does anyone know what the third warning is after a written one? Imagine that. Disciplinary action for sick days and being forced to work while sick is not exclusive to the United States. You know, come to think of it, I was forced to work when I was sick one time as well. It was 2020, right when COVID was starting to take hold here in the States. Luckily, it only turned out to be a common cold and not something like the flu or even COVID itself. This was back when I was working in the deli, and we were short on staff. I let my supervisor know that I was sick, and even though I was technically working a food service job, I still had to go in. That said, one of the workers stayed for an extra 2 hours, meaning I only had to work a 4-hour shift, from 5 p.m. to 9. So I know what it's like to have to work even though I was sick, especially with it being food service, and so potentially getting my coworkers sick, as well as the many customers that would come to our deli. Food could easily get contaminated with saliva, snot, or in this person's case, vomit. What ires me is that, according to this person, McDonald's workers, at least in the UK, get like 2 sick days. If you get sick and take off work for a 3rd time, you are punished for it. A verbal warning, then like the 4th time, it's a written warning, I guess, and then 5th time is maybe termination. Over the course of a year, 12 months, 365 days. Did you know that in Cuba, workers get 30 days off of sick leave? This person would be better off quitting and going on unemployment, or as they call it in the UK, job seekers allowance. That is if they can get that. So, McDonald's is a company that is known for its abuse of intellectual property, hoping to achieve a sort of monopoly over the Mc trademark. More often than not, they pay their employees a wage that one cannot live off of, and has been known to treat health and safety regulations as a mere suggestion. Their working conditions are subpar, as workers are forced to improvise when they don't have the resources necessary to efficiently complete their tasks. The work environment is full of hazards. Kids working there are not properly trained on workplace hazards, especially on electrical hazards, which led to the deaths of 2 underage employees. Also worth noting is McDonald's lack of ramps. McDonald's is prohibiting employees from hydrating themselves during the lunch rush, and is forcing employees to show up to work while sick, and punishing those that take time off to recover. So I certainly recommend organizing and unionizing your workplace if you work at McDonald's. Of course, unionizing McDonald's on a company-wide scale will not be an easy feat by any stretch, but I guess if Starbucks workers can succeed in unionizing, McDonald's workers can too. But McDonald's employees still must be wary of union busting. I wouldn't put it past McDonald's to utilize illegal tactics to prevent their workers from unionizing. They will project, like most businesses do, when they vilify unions. Always see unionizing as a short-term goal, though. Capitalism is a system that treats humans as dispensable. By chaining the working class to these miserable, degrading, and dehumanizing jobs, the elite are able to consolidate their power and keep their grip on power for generations. If you are disabled, if you're immunocompromised, neurodivergent, physically impaired, and your condition prevents you from being able to work a job, you are more likely to be left for dead by the capitalist system than supported by it. Even if you're not disabled, life under capitalism can be hard if you're black, gay, female, or the elite, or anyone in the elite just doesn't like you for whatever reason they might have. I think most people will be surprised to learn, when actually researching socialism, that common classes and working classes are treated better by the socialist system than they're treated by the capitalist system. And that's where I'm going to sign off. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like this video, please be sure to click thumbs up, share the video far and wide, leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you're a former or current McDonald's employee, share any horror stories you have with me in the comments section, and be sure to subscribe for more content like this. Click the bell to get notified, of course, and please consider super subscribing by becoming a contributor to my Patreon for just $3 a month. Link to my Patreon will be in the description. You'll help me stave off poverty and help me keep being able to do videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon for another video. Bye, guys.